The next two tabs, geopolitical scale and source type, are similar to one another in that they create the structure that allows you to assess risk for each indicator in the sheets that follow. So I'll talk about both individually. First, let's talk about the procedure and figure out how these are connected. So clauses 12.1 and 12.2 of the procedure require the determination of both geopolitical scale and the establishment of source types which are relevant for the geographical area under assessment. Effectively, what this means is establishing the units, geographically and by source type, by which you will evaluate the risk for each of the indicators being assessed. These tabs are places to customize the risk assessment to your own country context and where you will record the groups that define both the types of sources of the commodities and the different geopolitical scales present within the country or region. Now let's take a look at the geopolitical scale tab and try to fill it out with some example data. So first, I should say that geopolitical scale has to be selected in a way that's relevant for assessing risk. So for example, what's easiest is using already existing state or political boundaries. So for example, some states in a country might have higher risk for certain indicators than others, and we need to be able to distinguish that. So what this sheet allows you to do is to break down your assessment of risk across your own custom categories in a way that's most logical for the geographical context that you're working in. It's helpful to keep in mind that the procedure defines geopolitical scale as being based on geographical boundaries, such as administrative subdivisions, so states, counties, provinces, etc., as well as biological or geographical subdivisions, for example, bioregions, ecoregions, water catchments, watersheds, etc. There are many possibilities for defining geopolitical scale, and it is up to the person who is filling out the risk assessment template to determine what is most appropriate. Whichever geopolitical scale you choose to use and which you list on the Geopolitical Scale tab, it's just important that they have clearly defined spatial boundaries. So if you're using something like an ecozone, those have to be backed up by geographical data, which you'll submit later in the Excel or in a different system. Okay, so let's take a look at the Geopolitical Scale tab and try to fill it out with some example information. So in the left-hand side, I've already listed some possible geopolitical scales. These are based on US states. And maybe this is not the best way to organize a risk assessment of the US, where each state might have a different level of risk. Maybe going by region is more appropriate. This is where it becomes the responsibility of the person filling out the risk assessment template to decide which geographical scale is most appropriate for the country context. In this case, I'm going to go ahead with these state designations, and for each one, I'll describe the forests that are present at that geopolitical scale. So trying to create a picture or an understanding of what the state of forests are like in Virginia compared with Oregon. I might list several, like temperate, deciduous, separated by semicolons, or you can go into more detail. Here, in the column that asks for differences in legislation compared to national level, again, think about differences in legislation between the states, in this case, or the other geopolitical scale that you've devised, compared to the national level, if it exists. For example, perhaps Oregon has stricter laws when it comes to I don't know, something else compared to the US. This would be the place where I would indicate it here so that we can track how risk falls differently across different geopolitical boundaries. The last column is asking for other characteristics or comments. So anything or any information that helps to distinguish between these geopolitical scale levels and give us a better picture of why those distinctions are important. You'll see that the last column has a placeholder for GIS data, and this asks for submitting the reference to the associated geopolitical scale. This is because we acknowledge that Excel is probably not the best tool to be using to upload giant shape files and geographic data like GIS. So instead, right now, we just have a placeholder where you can input a reference number, a file name, anything that is linked to the particular shapefile that's related to the geopolitical scale listed on the left. Let's have a look at the source type sheet, and I've already filled it out with some example information here, again drawing from Vietnam. So remember in the left column, it's asking, just as in other sheets, for a unique name. So this could be source type 1, source type 2, source type 3, as I have it here, or it could be some combination of the other information that's captured here. So if you only have one plantation forest, you could call that your source type. A brief description, so source type 1 we know is a state-owned rubber plantation on agricultural land. Each bit of information then is broken down. So land classification, this is asking if it's forest or non-forest. Usually in all cases it will be forest unless you're filling it out for a different kind of commodity. The type of forest, this is an open fill cell, so you can put in whatever you like here. Usually the answer will be plantation or natural forest, but of course if any other forest type is relevant to your country or region, you can include that here. Ownership type, this is a drop-down box where you'll select from multiple options. So for example, public, private, corporate, state, indigenous, or community forest. You can also select other, but if you select other, be sure to add a description or a specification of what you mean here in this final column, other comments. The sheet also asks for information on the management regime. So here we have a few options that are targeted towards the FSC system. We have SLIMF, which is small or low intensity managed forests, non-SLIMF, and particular planning requirements. So what we want to know in the management regime are there any specific planning requirements that are necessary or required in this source type area? And if there are, select that option. You can always specify here in the other comments box. Finally, in case there's any related licenses or permits or other documents that are related to the source type in the first column, you can indicate that here.